Next on our agenda, the Pledge of the Allegiance, and tonight is by Tammy Holcomb, class at Susan Clark Junior High. Please stand. Yeah.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello to your board.
Thank you. Thank you for reciting the Pledge of the Allegiance for us tonight. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to our visitors and media representatives. Our next item on our agenda is the student board member updates, and I will leave that in the hands of Dylan and Gabriel.
Thank you very much. We wanted to start off with the fact that we had a very successful 8th grade day here at the high school. We had 8th graders come here from Susan Clark Junior High to kind of get an experience of what high school will be, along with a presentation of just different policies and groups and activities that they'd be able to join once they get there. So the students really enjoyed that, and so did our staff as they got to meet our new future Muskies. Senior Survivor was completed by the Student Council last week, so very huge congratulations to all those seniors. We raised over $20,000 for charity. A very great number, especially coming out of COVID. Students were very happy with a very successful winter thaw dance, rescheduled thanks to the concern of their peers. And the talent show is coming up this Friday. With that, the Muscatine High School choirs are getting ready to hold their dessert concert coming up on March 22nd. And then a few extra things. Students have been concerned about the condition of the Cedar parking lot handicap ramp. The rail has been loose lately, so students have been wondering if after the winter months, if the railing could be fixed, considering that some students had some slips and falls there. And other than that, a lot of the students were very happy with a lot of their events coming back, and the Muscatine High School track team had a very great start.
Thank you, Gabriel.
I got just a few more.
So the
First one is the local scholarship packets due on Friday. That's open for any seniors, and there's a lot of great money there. Free money, obviously, for students, so definitely take advantage of that. Spring break is coming up, less than a few days away, so everyone's super excited to that, and I know seniors are kind of freaking out a little bit because it's even closer to graduation, but I think we're all excited to move to the next part of our lives. And then I just have a follow-up from what I talked about a few months ago, and that was a Musky Time survey that was sent out by high school administration to kind of get an idea of how Musky Time is utilized at the high school and moving forward how they can improve that and whether or not it was benefited by students. And the results of that survey were actually the majority of people do see Musky Time as a valuable resource, and they use it accordingly to help them prepare for classes and get caught up. And with talking with Mr. Hoganson, that was kind of a surprise to admin, because I think there's a lot of conversation among students that, oh, maybe this isn't such a great thing. So with that being said, moving forward, they do plan on keeping Musky Time within the schedule and doing a study hall. So the idea was that they'd get rid of Musky Time to implement just a study hall, but they're going to keep the study hall and then give Musky Time as well. And kind of what that does is it allows people to still use the new student center that's going to be built within the next couple of months. That's all I got.
Thank you, Dylan. It seems to me you are way too busy, both of you and the whole entire student body. So that's always good news. Any question for both of them? Thank you. Thank you. Before we move into Citizen Speaks, we do have a special presentation. So I would like to call on Daphne Donald, please, to move forward.
And I'm going to have Becky Easerhot come up as well. I have another role in the school district. We have been co-directors for Race for the Schools for the last, I don't know, long time. But anyway, the last few years we've had a contest where we ask all the students to create a poster so that we can advertise the race and get a lot more people involved. And so this year we have the winning poster. People were able to vote online. We had quite a few votes. We were very excited. We always have a ton of really, really good posters, and we just ask the kids whatever they think about running or whatever they think would motivate people to want to sign up for the race. So each year we get really unique, cool posters. So we have the winner here tonight. We want to call Mason up. We're going to hold up the poster and just say, congratulations to Mason. We love the poster, and we will be having this printed later this week and distributing to them, to all the schools and to some businesses in town. So thanks for coming tonight. And we have a certificate too for Mason. So I'm going to let you, would you like to hold that? And I'll stand on this side. And then as an extra treat for winning, as well, very artistic, no, I already gave it to you. You already have it. Sorry. She didn't realize. She won a registration, free registration for the race. So Mason will get to do the race with family and friends or whatever and get a shirt as well. So we thank you for that. And then the only other thing we wanted to mention, we have a couple things about the race. We acknowledge Mason, so we always like to do that. We have the virtual option this year as well as the in-person option, so we're very excited that we're going to have an in-person race. Did you want to talk about that real quick?
No, well, no, just that there's a virtual, so that I know that there's a lot of students sometimes that don't have, that have soccer or volleyball, or not volleyball, soccer and dance and things like that in the spring. So the virtual option gives them the opportunity to participate without actually having to be there every morning. And I know some of the PE teachers are on board with letting them do their virtual mile during PE time. So if they are anxious to do that, they can speak up to their PE teachers and talk to them about that. So that would be awesome.
The only other thing I'd mention, we do have the school challenge where we invite all of the schools to participate. So hopefully with the virtual option, we can get more people involved. And I will say that so far, the most people that are registered are from Madison School. So just a shout out to Madison School. Keep them coming. And then we did have some flyers at the door, the race registration for anybody who's interested. It has the date, price, all that type of information.
And anybody that doesn't like walking or running, on the website, there's a link for volunteers because it takes a lot of people just to pull this off. So if you just want to volunteer and hang out and have fun or help out before the race, there's lots of jobs to do. Just go there and sign up. So thank you.
And our race website is pretty easy. It's just Muscatine Race for the Schools. So anything you need, registration, information like that, you should be able to get it. Yep. All right?
Awesome.
Thanks,
Sounds
Becky.
good.
Thank you, Mason.
Thank you, and congratulations, Mason. Great artwork. Thank you. Thank you. Next on our agenda, Citizen Speaks. If anyone in the audience wants to address the board, please step to the podium, state your name and address. You will have 3 minutes. Per Iowa code, the board is not able to respond to citizens during Citizen Speaks. Daphne, do we have a list of people who signed to speak?
We have Shelley Servadio Elias.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for this opportunity to address the board. I have a couple of things. In 1867, Alexander Clark sued for his daughter Susan to have access to equitable and free education here in Muscatine County, the school board, and he won. And then it went to the Iowa Supreme Court, and he won again for his daughter. And here, right here in Muscatine County, this is where it started, the end of segregation in community schools. Decades before it happened in the rest of the country, we were the first ones to stand for equity and education and equality. And now we have another decision to make when it comes to vouchers. But I say to you, again, we must consider equity. There is no separate but equal under the Iowa Constitution. And the answer to creating equity in education is fully funding our education in our schools. So if 2.5% is not enough to fully fund what is needed and necessary to create equity and balance and full services to everybody that needs them, every student deserves to be treated equally in school. The answer is not to divert funds away from public education and into vouchers. It is to keep that money where it belongs, in the public schools. Thank you. Now, the other thing I wanted to address was under your search and seizure in your agenda. I would request that respectfully that you put an amendment and your children or any child that does start to go to school within the Muscatine County that has a medical cannabidiol card be given an exemption from affirmative defense under Iowa Code under 124E. They also are disabled and protected under Iowa Code and under the law from search and seizure. Thank you, I'm done.
Thank you, Shelley. Anybody else on the list? Okay,
And John, we were able to connect with Denny.
with Danny. So he's with us. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. So next on our agenda, board targets, goals, report. Students will graduate prepared for post-secondary options. The second item is Muscatine schools will utilize resources effectively and equitably. And the third item, students will learn in a positive and supportive environment. And under that, we have the FFA POA Program of Activities presentations.
Hi everyone. So we just had a couple updates before we started from our chapter. So March 12th, this Saturday, we will be going to Pekin for our district competition. And it's contests and teams that moved on from sub-districts. So moving on is ag sales, ag broadcasting, job interview, extemporaneous speaking, parliamentary procedure, POA, program of activities. And then contests starting at districts is chapter website, and then there's 2 8th grade contests, Ag Impact and Ag CSI.
Another small update that we have for our Muscatine Ffa chapter is every year we hold a plant sale to help fundraise for our chapter. So our Hort 1 and 2 classes are in charge of seeding, raising, and taking care of the plants that we grow in our greenhouse. And then late April, we will sell the plants open to the community. Typically, it's Fridays and Thursdays that we are open. We're still working out a schedule. And the money that we fundraise from our plant sale goes towards classroom supplies, contest expenses, and then it also goes towards scholarships for our seniors. So we get them prepared for college as they go on to start their life.
Learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve. This motto helps drive our chapter and shows that we strive for greatness, teamwork, and cooperation. Our chapter's history dates back to August 29th of 1929, when 23 Muscatine high school boys signed up to make Muscatine the second chartered FFA chapter in all of Iowa. Since then, our numbers and available opportunities have grown immensely. I am Emily King, and this is Danica Garrett. I'm a junior, and she's a sophomore at Muscatine High School. We also have our projectionist, Teresa Rivas, who's a senior at Muscatine High School. And we are all proud members of Muscatine's FFA.
Leadership development events, otherwise known as LDEs, focus on creating situations for students and members to demonstrate their abilities in public speaking, decision-making, and their knowledge of agriculture within the FFA organization. Team and individual events are used to reinforce what's taught in the agricultural classrooms. We had 12 teams or individuals go to sub-districts, with 12 of them moving on to districts. Later, 10 went to state, with 3 going on to National FFA Convention.
The Muscatine FFA encourages healthy lifestyles for all. These healthy lifestyles include both the mental and physical health of our members and the people of the surrounding community. To reflect these values, Muscatine sold fruit throughout November. 2 years ago, we started an online pay system, but last year, we also incorporated complete online ordering with the pay system. We also raise local produce in our garden that has been marketed to the school districts, which includes sweet corn and vegetables. 8,000 servings of sweet corn has been served to the local high school, middle, and elementary schools. We also raise local honey, which has been proven to help reduce residents' allergy symptoms. We also donated over 2,500 pounds to the MCSD food pantry.
Many students received scholarships. Multiple hard-working members received $300, $200, and $150 scholarships as part of our FFA Banquet. Last year, we also had 4 members receive their Iowa FFA degree, who are also recognized as our yearly banquet.
In 2021, our membership held steady at about 300 members. Our total income is $73,050.52. All earnings are invested back into the chapter and members, whether it's learning materials, greenhouse supplies, entry fees, and much more. Last year, due to all the challenges and some of us being virtual, we made an FFA Weekly, which was continued into this year and is doing good. Even with the current success, we strive to do better each and every year.
As part of our school, we have an application program called IMAP, where students get to interact and also find out available jobs that best match our interests. My results were to be a seed salesman, which is similar to my ideal job. Emily's results were related to ag business and law, which interests her because she wants to be an agricultural loan officer. These programs, like Agricultural Experience Tracker, otherwise known as AET, and IMAP, benefit our students by showing us what available classes and job fields are around us. All of our students are also required to have an SAE project, which gives us experience in different career areas. Our chapter also had the availability to enter 9 different career development events at the state level.
Taking care of the environment is very important because it allows future students and FFA members to have the same agricultural opportunities, if not more than we do today. Our chapter grows plants in the greenhouse that are used in our pollinator areas. We also have beehives at the Ag Learning Center that the Ag 2 classes take care of as part of their coursework. The students learn how to do work, take care of, and be responsible for something that is not themselves.
Our school has many activities that are conducted to improve the well-being of our community. These activities include members picking, shucking, and cutting ears of corn for school district consumption. Sweet corn was delivered to all the elementary, middle, and high schools. We also donated many boxes of fruit to the retirement homes to make sure everyone there has something healthy to eat, and have a few members who assist their time with horse therapy riding that's held at the Muscatine Ag Learning Center.
Citizenship is about taking care of the community and being the best person we can be. It is important to everyone in our chapter that we all do our share, whether it's mowing a lawn for a neighbor or picking up trash. The Muscatine FFA packaged fruit and donated it to the Muscatine food pantry to make sure there's always nutritious food for the less fortunate. From our FFA community garden, we were able to donate 300 to 400 pounds to the MCSD food pantry.
Our chapter is fortunate enough to have a supportive community. Muscatine has supported the Muscatine Ag Program and FFA chapter for over 90 years. Last year, we took a few animals from the Muscatine Ag Learning Center over to a local nursing home. We weren't able to bring the livestock inside like we usually do, but we did put them in small pens outside for the residents to interact with.
While learning new skills, our chapter is always looking for ways to help out our community. In Muscatine, most yards are small, and that can present a problem when it comes to storage for yard care tools like mowers and rakes. Our ag mechanics class found a solution by building sheds. Currently, we have made 1 storage shed and sold 1 to a community member. The chapter is able to make a shed for about half the cost they would retail for in a store. We also have a test plot and production plot at the Ag Learning Center that the ag classes are able to help plant and harvest.
Our chapter has many opportunities to work with support groups within our community. Our chapter has many activities that are conducted with our FFA alumni. Alumni are essential for our chapter because they help us with our test plot, fundraising, and advise us on future classes and job fields. The main event that we do every year is the Ffa Banquet. Last year we held it in the school gym where we were able to recognize alumni, students, and give out scholarships. We weren't able to have a meal like we usually do, but we did send everyone home with a pan of apple crisp.
Due to COVID restrictions, we were not able to have many of the activities that we normally do. While in quarantine, our teachers made videos to send out to the students Our teachers made videos of ag-related activities and shared them with the students and the community. This gave current and potential students something to do while at home and learn about new ag-related topics. We also shared these videos to the ag teachers so they could share them with their students. Our ag department worked with our school directors to release monthly videos to show our community exciting moments and educational experiences. We also held Kitty Barnyard, which was for kindergartners from the local elementary school to go to the Ag Center and learn more about ag-related things and get kids involved at a younger age.
Our chapter takes safety very seriously. And all of our ag mechanics, wiring, welding, car care, and more, our ag teachers make sure we go over safety protocols before we start a project. One example of this is our horticulture students participate in a pesticide application program where they become certified pesticide applicators.
The Muscatine FFA has a strong social media presence, including Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. Our social media pages help members stay informed with dates and times of activities to keep the community updated with pictures of activities. Our chapter leaders also send out emails and information to help inform members and parents to ensure that everyone is involved as they can be. We invited local media to all of our events so they could interview students that have been in those activities. We also write articles for National FFA Week and National Agriculture Week.
As part of our horticulture classes, we provide planting and growing advice for the supporters of our greenhouse sales. We give the customers the information they need to successfully grow and harvest the plants they buy from us. Our income was $21,821, and we had around 95% member participation, and it was student ran. Last year, we had an online pay and ordering system, and then we used the results and feedback from that to help plan future events.
The FFA motto, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve, has helped drive our chapter and shows that we strive for teamwork, cooperation, and cooperation. Since our establishments, we have expanded our chapter enrollment from 23 to over 300 members, diversified our chapter to welcome men and women, those with an agriculture background or none at all. FFA has come a long way and is continuing to inspire us and instill within us to prepare us for whatever comes next. Now is when we would normally ask questions, so if anyone has any questions, they're open.
I have a question that has to, being that you've got so many, with that being 300, does that mean, does that mean everybody can kind of pick where they want to go, or there's only so many slots in all those different areas you talked about?
So there's many different competitions or activities that students can get involved with. We have 4 advisors, so it's very easy for our students and members to get access to these events and activities, and we try to remind everyone and keep everyone updated. So we have contests like horticulture or ag mechanics, or like we do public speaking. So there's a little bit for everyone, and it gets everyone into something that they're interested and is kind of more diversified.
Thank you.
What do you see as the most important social media type or platform, I guess?
I would say we use Instagram and Facebook the most, so those are probably our two most important, and I think those are what reach the most people to show people what all we've been doing. So I'd say probably Facebook is the most important out of all the ones we have, because I'd say that's the one we're most active on.
Well, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. As a matter of fact, I had the privilege and honor to attend your banquet a couple nights ago, and I was really inspired by your work, by your activities. I didn't believe my eyes when I saw your program, when I saw all the events, the activities, and everything that you are involved with as the FFA chapter here in Muscatine. So keep up the good work. We are very proud of you. That's,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the Superintendent Updates.
So because we've had a number of meetings lately, I'll keep this short. I do want to say to our FFA students and Mr. Paul, who's here, just thank you for being here. I agree with John. The program the other night is just awesome to see how many students are involved, all the activities that they do. We've got a tremendous program. It really probably should have been under students graduating prepared for post-secondary success on the agenda. Because when you look at the things that they're doing, it's about leadership, it's work experience, it's life skills. So it's a tremendous program. We've got great students, we've got great staff, and just something to really be proud of for our community and for our school district. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can clap again. I did want to mention just to the whole group, you're not hearing the mics in the room, but from my understanding, the live stream, the mics are working. So continue to speak into the mic, and hopefully everyone in the audience can hear us. So it's not projecting in the room, but it is projecting out to the rest of the community. So the only thing that I wanted to update on tonight is just as we have both of our school board reps here, and what a tremendous job that our students have done. And so Dylan's time this year is going really quickly, maybe too quickly, or is that maybe not?
Hit or miss.
Okay. So, but with that being said, they've been with us for a while, and so we know as we grew this, eventually Dylan would be moving on, and we have to bring in a new individual to take that spot. So after spring break, we will get that process started. Karen and Lindsay have both agreed to be a part of that process, and if anyone else is interested, please let me know. So what we'll do is we'll get the applications out to the high school, to current sophomores who will be juniors next year. And then sometime probably in April, as we get those applications in, we'll set up a time for you as the board reps to interview them and make a selection, and we'll make that announcement here probably in May or June. So it's kind of snuck up on us here, and again, we've just been thankful for our reps here, and Dylan has done a great job, and Gabe has as well, but we always look forward to the things that you do moving forward, and then we start that process of bringing in the next student. So just be on the lookout for that, and we'll start promoting that in the high school, and that's something too that our school board reps at school can also help advertise for us. So that's all I have for updates.
Thank you, Clint. Next on the agenda, possible action. The following items are considered to be routine by the Board of Education and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a director so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence from the agenda. The items are minutes, employment recommendations, bills and claims, special education contracts, policies no minimal required by law, policies the third reading, cooperative agreement with UNI, agreement with Upper Iowa University, Grand Canyon University agreement, and Iowa Natural Gas Program agreement. What are the wishes of the board?
I would like to be able to pull 501.12 student transfers and 505.3 student injury illness at school and have a discussion on those. Otherwise, I would make a motion to accept the consent agenda with those two items pulled.
Which ones, Mike? Can you repeat, please?
501.12 student transfer in and 505.3 student injury illness at school.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All those in, I'm sorry, any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, oppose, nay? Okay, motion carries. So we go back to the two items. Mike, you talk about 501.12 and 505.3.
I can't get my laptop to open up, so I'm going to operate off of my memory. 501 or 501.12, the student transfer in. Thanks, Matt. Just in the second paragraph, I think it's somewhere in there it says that the responsibility of this of looking at the credits will be the superintendent. I don't know that matches up with what the process has been at the high school. Typically, that's done just by the counselors because that seems to be the first contact. So I would like to just insert superintendent, comma, or designee, because I don't think it should fall back on our superintendent, whoever that is, for them to have just to look at credits. So it really should just be the superintendent or their designee. So that's a pretty simple one. As far as the student injury, you want to talk to this one, Matt, or not?
Well, no, 505.13 we discussed at the last working session on just clarifying some things because I thought it was pretty vague. So just wanted to put in there the change to the school district and make a reasonable attempt to notify the student's parent or guardian, and then put in there including contacting all phone numbers and emergency contact information on file for the student as soon as possible. I know we said it's kind of implied in there, but I'd just like to call that out if we could. Sure.
Yeah, they were just pretty simple, just to make sure that it was kind of clarifying what that attempt would look like. At a bare minimum, I think that we would go through and until we reach somebody, I think that we ought, being a former administrator, I know we would keep calling until we got to somebody, but I wouldn't want it to seem like we only had to try once and then didn't go through the emergency contacts that we have on file. That also encourages our parents to have a lot of emergency contacts, to have good, accurate phone numbers in there. And I would encourage all parents to make sure that they look at that once in a while, just to double check that what we have on hand is what actually they're using at that time in case there is an emergency, because they happen. So.
I have a question along the lines of that. And are they required at the beginning of each school year to do an update as in who they have on their listing?
They can update it, but again, for a number of our families, those numbers change a lot. And so sometimes it gets, they forget to update it, and sometimes those numbers just roll forward, and so that's how we sometimes get in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you worded this, but when you were speaking to how you would want it specified, but I know, like even our school nurse will use dojo, which then it doesn't matter what my number is. So maybe that if we make an attempt that we'll try multiple avenues until someone is contacted.
And I think as we specify every reasonable
Right.
opportunity, and we put some clarity in there that we'll continue to call through the numbers. I don't want it to be too specific,
Right.
because those things, how we contact may change. I don't have to update, well, we don't use Dojo anymore, but now we're using this. But are we spelling out that there's more than just we've made one phone call and we're done?
Exactly,
We
yeah,
make-
I wouldn't name anything.
Make
but-
every reasonable attempt, to contact.
Because as it
as soon
reads
as
now,
possible.
it's the school district will make a reasonable attempt to notify the student's parent or guardian. I'm just asking to including contacting all phone numbers and emergency contact information on file for the student.
Okay.
And so,
As soon as
again,
possible.
on file for the student, that would include, in an elementary case, class dojo, right?
So with these two simple amendments to both policies, are we going to have a motion to include that? And
I would make a motion to approve 501.12 student transfers in with the suggested language that it's the superintendent or superintendent's designee.
okay, so let's work on one at a time. Do we have a second for this?
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor of this simple amendment to policy 501.12, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, motion carries. We move into 505.3. Matt?
Yeah,
would
make
you
a motion to add the language, including contacting all phone numbers and emergency contact information on file for the student.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion?
I will just put just a basic discussion on there, just because something that happened many years ago. It wasn't because of illness, but because of a student that was absent for the day. I got a telephone call. It was actually my ex-boyfriend's daughter who actually was 6 months since after I had been part of his household or anything, and they're calling me because he never took me off the list. And so here I was put on the spot to be able to take, and suddenly, well, she may be homesick, or whatever, and what's to do. So I'm with Clint from the standpoint of how sometimes that gets a little jumbled, as in perhaps on how specific that may need to be done on there. But I applaud the idea of reasonable attempt.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, all those of you who are in favor of the amendment to policy 505.3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Thanks to both. Okay, moving forward, we move into letter L, and we have basically an item to approve the agreement and transfer of funds for the Muscatine Community School District Work-Based Learning Fund within the Community Foundation of Greater Muscatine. So what are the wishes of the board?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Oh, okay. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving the agreement and transfer of funds for the Muscatine Community School District Work-Based Learning Fund with the Community Foundation of Greater Muscatine, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay. Thank you. Motion carries. Next on our agenda, to set a public hearing for the FY23 budget for Monday, April 11, 2022 at 7:05 p.m. at the City Hall in Council Chamber. What are the wishes of the board?
I just have one comment,
Yeah.
John. So the two documents for this agenda item, the second document is what will be published in the paper. So the first document was a summary that I gave out last Monday, and it's actually, there was one estimate in that proposed property tax levy for the instructional support income tax, or the instructional support property tax amount. And that was, we got the final number for income surtax, which, remember, income surtax and property tax fund our instructional support levy. So we got the final number that we're supposed to use on the aid-in levy, and that just reduced the property tax rate by about a penny. So I just wanted to point that out before you approved setting the public hearing, and what you see on that second page is what would be published, the 13.42227. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. So what are the wishes of the board?
I move that we set for the public hearing for the budget 23 for Monday, April 11th at 7:05 at City Hall, council chambers.
Second.
Second, thank you.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of setting a public hearing for the FY23 budget for Monday, April 11, 2022 at 7:05 p.m. at the City Hall in Council Chamber, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Moving forward, next item on our agenda to approve the budget guarantee resolution for 2022-2023.
I don't have anything more from last week, so just gave an example again of how budget guarantee is calculated for Muscatine and the importance of not giving up spending authority. So,
Thank you, Tom, again. What are the wishes of the board?
Make a motion to approve the budget guarantee resolution for 2022 to 2023.
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the budget guarantee resolution for 2022-2023, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, motion carries. Okay, next item on our agenda is to approve the overload pay. What are the wishes of the board?
I'll move to approve the overload pay.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I do want to add a quick item here for you. And this is a change, so we did make a change to this document this afternoon, last minute, and I apologize for that, based on, and you'll understand why when we did this. As we looked at the amount that we were giving to bus drivers, in comparison to some of the paras, the special ed paras that ride on the buses with them, there wasn't equity for the bus drivers. And in discussing that, it was something we, once we were made aware of it, which again was late this afternoon, so the recommendation is to move them to that $750 per bus driver. That is, I believe, the right and fair thing to do, and apologize we didn't catch that sooner. So the only change to this document is that it increases that for our bus drivers to $750.
I appreciate that. I also would like to, I really believe that if we try to establish a team, that we've had the same battle up and down the road. So I know that the one group that's not addressed in this is our directors. I know that they chose that. I would like to suggest that we still honor them, even if it's at the lowest rate out of everybody else. But it's some way, they're our leadership, and if we're going to have a team, I don't think anybody should be excluded. I think that we talked about this as we move forward, so I would be in favor of actually adding our directors at some, even if it's, like I said, is the lowest rate of everybody out of the whole group, at least it's something to say that they've worked hard as well. So
Just based on and I appreciate that, Mike. I know our directors do too. They do a great job. It's a little easier for me to look at some, vacation days or some flexibility about carrying days over with them because they're a small number and they're at the district office. So I will make a commitment to take care of them as well. They're just not, I did not include them in this proposal.
If I remember correct, is it correct, I should say, that they are paid differently? Is it like an hourly or salary or how?
They're on a salary.
And
yes.
so that's probably, I'm assuming
We have other
partially why?
salaried employees.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Yeah, I do agree with Mike, and I did speak about it also, I think last week or the week before. If Clint, if you can look into some options, because I think the idea that the board would like to say thank you to everybody, including our directors, in regardless whether it's financial way or perhaps off days or vacation days or whatever, so that everybody worked very hard, and I think the board would like to say thank you to everybody. So, but basically the item that we have in front of us, so we have
Well,
approved.
hang on, pardon me. Because we can approve it as such as it reads, and then that, what you're doing would be considered something separate, and would we have to go back and approve for that?
No.
All right.
Thank you. Any other question?
No, this is just our district just using their ESSER dollars. This has nothing to do with any of the state money that
Correct.
came in or the guidelines that they set forth on how to
Correct.
apply that. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second, and great discussion. Thank you, everybody. So all those in favor of approving the overload pay, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Thank you. Motion carried. Next item, to approve the Domino's Pizza of Muscatine to supply and deliver pizza for the remaining 2021-2022 and 2022-2023 school year. What are the wishes of the board?
I'd make a motion to approve Domino's Pizza delivery or the supply and deliver pizza for the remaining 21-22 school year and 22-23 school year.
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion?
I guess, have this what we have done in the past?
So essentially what you're doing with this, and Tom can correct me if I'm wrong here, is this is adding them as a vendor, and because the amount of money we would spend on that, we're asking for board approval on that. So it's not necessarily an exclusive agreement, correct? But it does allow us to use them as a vendor and pay them, because when you get pizza for the entire district,
They will be the exclusive vendor, yeah, unless something happens and they can't meet the specifications for school nutrition.
So this is the exclusive vendor during the school day.
Right.
Right. This has nothing to do with concessions,
Right.
which would be with the Muscatine Booster Club. That would be their agreement. This is separate of that.
Right. That is correct.
And this is served at lunchtime primarily.
Yep.
At the high school right now, and possibly
Junior high, yeah.
the only concern I would have is I saw the food service, the number of vendors that they sent this out to, and to get one reply back, and this being the only reply back, I know that that's not anything, that's beyond our control, but I think that's something we probably need to look into, why there was only one reply back, because I think we kind of talked about this some other times.
Specifications, is that correct?
Specifications
Okay.
are very strict in this, so there's few vendors that are willing or able to meet those.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, Ryan.
I apologize, I was trying to stay away from coming up here tonight, but yeah, there's
You look good.
The specifications that are included in this, including the whole wheat crust, the specific sauce, cheese. Not very many vendors are willing or able to meet that specification, especially when you're looking at the volume that we're asking for a day.
So, well, I've got you on the spot then. See, I knew I could get you up here. If we go to one kitchen, what we're trying to go to in the future, would we make that in-house? This would be one of the things that we possibly make in-house?
Our bakery would possibly enable us to make this crust and then therefore be our own vendor in-house, correct?
Okay. Not that it makes a difference right now, it's just cross my mind.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the Domino's Pizza of Muscatine to supply and deliver pizza for the remaining of 2021-2022 and 22-23 school year, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, motion carries. Next item on our agenda is to approve the vouchers resolution. What are the wishes of the board?
I make the motion that we approve the voucher resolution, please.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, so we have a motion and second. Any discussion?
And I'll just start off quickly by saying at our work session, I provided some advocacy materials, some information, talking points on the vouchers. And through that discussion, Mike had asked about doing a resolution. So kind of using some of those talking points, put that resolution forward. And I will just say from my standpoint, the focus of this is really about public dollars being available to all students, and the fact that as a public district, we have certain requirements in terms of transparency and rules that are associated with those dollars. And the belief that if those dollars go somewhere else, that the rules that are attached to them here flow with them. And that's really, as you look at the pieces of this resolution, that's the focus of that information.
Clint, could you? I was going to say, Clint, could you read through the resolution?
Yep, I can. So, Muscatine Community School District Resolution, whereas the legislature will consider enacting vouchers, and whereas the board has determined that the Iowa legislature should not enact voucher programs regardless of branding and should continue to promote and fully invest in Iowa's public schools. More specifically, public dollars are for public use. The public's investment should be used to support public schools within our communities. Public schools are charged with providing education to all students regardless of race, religion, gender, orientation, socioeconomic status, or disability. Private schools operate under no requirement to serve all students and may pick which students to serve. Public funds require public accountability and transparency. Public schools are provided oversight by an unpaid, publicly elected, citizen-governed board. Public schools are non-discriminatory and welcoming of all students, are required to teach Common Core state curriculum, report academic results to the public and to the Iowa Department of Education, have an annual public financial audit, and are transparent with all expenditures and decision-making. Private and religious schools are not held to any of these same rigorous standards and are not subject to public disclosure or public audits. Taxpayers have a right to know how their tax dollars are being used, but if enacted, citizens will remain intentionally uninformed regarding the use and impact of voucher funds given to private entities. Competition is only fair when the rules are the same for both parties. By picking and choosing which children are accepted into private schools, by not reporting state assessment results, and by having no financial oversight rules, the playing field is far from equal. Whereas this board believes that Iowa public schools provide a storied and robust educational environment for Iowa's children, and that voucher programs of any type would put that system at risk by directing resources away from public schools to private institutions that are not subject to the same rigorous scrutiny, educational standards, and oversight for their use of taxpayer resources. Now they're resolved by the board.
So to be clear, there's absolutely no accountability for voucher dollars.
As it's written in the law, it states that by receiving those dollars, private schools do not have to change any of their rules or regulations. So that's a part of that, the way that law is written. So again, they would not be held to the same accountability with those funds that we are.
And I think one of the things that I would like to mention here, that those talking points are very important. So I would call on all of you as board members, really when citizens in Muscatine contact you, talk to you about it, whether they are opposing or in agreement with us on this. So please use those talking points as you are talking to the citizens of Muscatine. I mean, they are very important, and well, as we mentioned also last time we met, is it's obvious that public money for public education. I mean, as simple as that. So let's keep it this way. And if anybody have any question, any issue, please, let's have that discussion about it, and then we'll
John,
move forward.
I just to take this a little further, the equity is huge. The ambiguity of the current legislation, I still have questions about. Right now, there are roughly 485,000 students in Iowa in public education. The bill is designed to help 10,000 at the most. So even those tax dollars, and it's not roughly each student gets about $5,500 is what we get per student. It doesn't designate of that $5,500 how much follows that student. It says a portion will follow that student to where they go. Now that might not cover their full tuition at a non-public. So the rest of that would go to smaller rural districts. So that means if somebody in Muscatine wanted to go to Assumption or Regis because we don't have a high school, one, they'd have to transport themselves. It might not pay for their full tuition. So I think we're starting to limit the number of kids that this truly would help. So again, the rules need to be the same for everybody, whether it's public education or not public education. In the non-public school system right now, the STOs, which I believe have been in place since 2006, get $30 million a year. And I was a Catholic school principal, so I'm pretty confident with how this whole thing works. They get $30 million a year. That generates about $46 million of tuition assistance, so that any student anywhere in Iowa that wants to attend that school right now can go there, enroll, and say, hey, I'm going to need some help, and they can be granted tuition assistance that's helped by our state budget right now. So I'm not seeing where throwing in another $75 million towards this program is going to help kids that they think that they say that they're going to help. So we have open enrollment. If a school system's not working for somebody right now, they can go to another public school. Those dollars follow directly, right? So we try to offer, and from Iowa is a great educational state and has been in the past. One of the big issues that I have is that once we started to legislate things and we started to put in state standards from that point forward, we just keep sliding. And I think that I will say this. Education accounts for the majority, the big part of the state budget. But underfunding schools is not going to help solve that problem. We've got to be more creative with that. And it might be things that people don't want to hear, but we've got to be more creative and we've got to be open to those ideas. I also work in another part of I have another business that deals with schools and states. And I believe that Maryland has 4 districts. We have 357. Those are some of the things that we have to start looking at, is how can we minimize those, whether it's counties, having county representation for your one superintendent per county, or I don't know, but we have to do something different than the way we're trying to fund things right now. So that's part of the reason I asked that this resolution be drafted and that we make a statement that I don't support this, because we're not, I'm getting off topic, but really it comes down to we have to be equitable in how we spend our money.
And thank you, Mike. And as I said again, it's summarized again in very simple statement: public money for public schools or public education. Any other discussion before we call on a vote on this voucher resolution?
Yes. To go along with that is the point that once we lose that money, it's not money that we gain back. And we are already, because of enrollment, that makes a difference on how much money that we get as it is. So it would be more of a double whammy for school systems not to have their proper public funding, in which to make sure that we're going to be able to continue educating the kids that we do have.
Thank you, Karen. Anybody else? Okay, well, we have a motion, we have second, great discussion. So all those in favor of approving the vouchers resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. With that, we move into our discussion and information section of our agenda, and the first item is January financials. Tom.
Okay. So tonight, we have the January financials to present, and if you see on our agenda here on the first sheet, we approved the budget guarantee resolution tonight, so thank you. And then April 11th, we'll have our public hearing and we'll certify the FY23 budget. So you can see the first page there, our deposit balances are reconciled as of January, and you can see the changes from last month to January 31st. The next page is our fund balances, so I think it's important to just see how our fund balances compares to last year at this time. And as I stated at the work session, Fund 71, which is our self-funding and health insurance fund, you get a summary every month. So those are the total year-to-date deposits and claims through January 31st are presented in that self-funding insurance column. The next page is going to be the expenditures published last April compared to where we are actual through January 31st. And it is anticipated that we will have a budget amendment just because of some of these ESSER dollars coming through from the state, as well as our own district's ESSER dollars that we're spending. So this is through January. The last two pages are just the general fund reports. I will point out on the general fund revenues page, the state foundation aid line. Every January, school districts get a reduction in state aid to cover the costs of students that don't have a resident district that are attending juvenile homes, or they're in foster care facilities, or they're in a special education cost for foster children with no resident district. Muscatine's portion was $111,408. So that was cash, that's revenue, that is reduced from our state aid. We still get the spending authority for that $111,000, but cash is reduced. So again, another reason how important cash reserve levies are, because there's all those reasons that we overspend, and that affects our cash reserve levy, as well as something like this. It doesn't affect our spending authority, but it affects our cash that's coming in. So that happens every January, and then 1/6 of that 111,000 is deducted from our state aid every month. So other than that, I have no other red flags or anything to point out for revenues, as well as expenditures on the last page. So, thank you.
Any question for Tom? Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is review of some administrative regulations. And I want to, before we go there, I want to just remind everybody about the difference between administrative regulations and board policy. We as a board around the table, we come up with policy. We set up this policy and then send it to our superintendent and his team. And based on those policies, they come up with this set of regulations. So regulations are basically the administration job based on the policies that we pass as a board. So we do have two administrative regulations, 502.6R, search and seizure administrative regulations, 502.5E, search and seizure exhibit form. So I would turn that to our Superintendent Clint to update us on this.
Again, part of this is as you adopt policy and amend policy, that we put those procedures and regulations that we have to implement those policies in front of you as well, not necessarily for approval, but just so that you can see that. So again, those are for you to review and align with our policies.
Any question? Okay. Thank you. The next item is the announcements, meetings, and events. March 7 to 11, parent-teacher conferences. March 8, which is tomorrow, River Bend Mobile Food Pantry from 4:30 to 6 at the Administrative Center parking lot. March 10th, 2-hour early dismissal. March 11, no school. March 14 to 18, spring break. March 24th, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., the kindergarten roundup at the administration building. April 11, school board community conversation at 6 p.m. in the lower level of City Hall. And Matt, our board member Matt, and our board member Denny will be representing the board during that community conversation. And the same day, April 11th, regular session at 7 p.m. here at the council chamber. Anybody else have any announcement that would like to add to this list? Okay, so if nothing here, can we have a motion to adjourn, please?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay. Motion carried. Good night, everybody.